auditor's office?
Yes, I'm trying to reach the county commissioner's office. This was the number that was listed.
Yeah, the commissioners don't actually keep an office. So can I help you with something?
I hope so.
Do you need,
What I'm trying to find out is if there's a county ordinance that would prevent me from taking my cellular device into the courthouse. Some counties have them in Indiana, some don't.
okay, it would be like we had a child that had no cell phones allowed.
Okay.
But other than just bringing your cell phone in to the courthouse.
Right, right. I mean the actual courthouse. I'm aware that I can't like broadcast from the courtroom due to the judicial code of conduct.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to do anything. I'm just sort of, you know, possession of my cell phone, checking the time, sending text messages. Like let's say I'm in like waiting on something from the clerk's office or whatever. I just trying to make sure I don't have to leave it in my vehicle.
Okay, let me put you on hold for just one moment, okay?
All right, thank you.
Mhm. All right, can I ask your name, please?
My name?
Yes.
My name's Chris. Does that have any bearing on this?
No, but I'd like to know who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What you,
I didn't understand. I'm just asking if there's an ordinance. I wouldn't understand what what my identity would have to do with that, I guess. Unless there was a specific
okay.
ordinance for me.
Well, but who are you?
As I said, my name's Chris. I'm just a guy trying to figure out if I can bring my cell phone in the courthouse or not.
Okay, we'll put you back on hold.
I got a funny feeling you know who I am, lady.
One there.
Hello, good morning. Sorry.
Hello. Good morning. Um, so you want to bring your cell phone into the courthouse?
Yeah, I would like to, and I was just sort of wondering if Pulaski County Courthouse has some sort of, you know, restrictions on this. If there's like a county ordinance or a court order or something that would make me not allowed to do this.
No, there is nothing like that at this point in time, although there are restrictions depending on the circumstances. So there is a sign on the door that
Circumstances. Does that have any further definition? Circumstances is kind of broad.
circumstances is very broad. I can't give you any more detail than that. It depends on whether what court is in session.
So there are
Um,
circumstances where I
well,
would not be allowed to, but you can't tell
there
me
are
what them
circumstances.
circumstances are.
Listen,
I'm
do you have
listening.
business in it? Do you have business in this courthouse?
I do, ma'am. I'm going to be doing some public records requests and some process audits, and I'm going to be checking into educational training credits. I just sort of, I'm told that current court circumstances don't allow the proper procedures to be followed at your court. So I'm just sort of curious as to what that is. And as a citizen, there's a whole lot of Indiana statutes that allow me to come in and sort of check in on you guys. And that's what I'd like to do. And the thing is here in America, small town America these days, checking in on your public servants and trying to hold them accountable gets kind of risky. So I like to record my interactions and put them on YouTube for the
So
entire
therefore,
world to see, so that there's no question about the validity of anybody's statements. You know, video doesn't lie. It sort of keeps us both accountable.
so you want to bring your cell phone in and make videos?
Yes, ma'am. I will be exercising my First Amendment right to record in a public place. And I just sort of was curious if there's going to be any sort of state or county interference when I do this. It seems to me that there's not going to be. I'm just sort of trying to get a specific yes or no on that.
Well, at this time, I would say no.
So,
Although there are signs on the doors, but there's no one going to stop you from coming in.
right, I'll probably take pictures of those signs to highlight the irony and fact that they're not actually going to be enforced. Signs are expensive. That was probably a waste of your taxpayers' money there in that county. But anyway, so no, I don't have anything to worry about when I come into the courthouse recording. Now, do you know if there's anything that reflects this as a certainty? I mean, there would be a document that kept someone, but do you know if there's anything that positively highlights this, sort of spells out?
Highlights what?
That an individual in the courthouse would be legally able to bring their cell phone in, despite the signs. You know, I understand that the signs are up and they're not being enforced, but is there anything on paper that explains why they're not being enforced? I guess my question should be more like, in your capacity, you work for the county, I presume. Have you read any sort of training materials on this where it specifically highlights the citizen's right to do so?
You know, if you really want to go the distance here, I would suggest you call the sheriff's department.
Oh, ma'am, I already called the sheriff's department well before I talked to you. That's why I know what the procedure is.
What did they say?
My name is Chris, but I'm gonna do you one better. My name is Christopher Adam Throgmorton, and you can go ahead and check in on me. I live in LaPorte, Indiana, LaPorte County. You can utilize your professional contacts if you'd like to figure out exactly who and what I am. But long story short, I am Mr. Go the Distance. My stamina is absolutely ridiculous. So I absolutely want to go the distance. I'm sort of figuring out if you guys are able to. This is more of a litmus test gauging. I know the answers to every question I've called and asked you guys so far. I'm just sort of giving you a percentage, like a grade. And you guys have significantly failed as far as information being provided to the public on your processes. I've spoke to the courts, the sheriffs. Now I'm speaking to the commissioner's office. For the record, Judge Welker lied to me in a recorded phone call during what she thinks is ex parte communication because she's withdrawal from my case. But obviously, she's wrong. And this would be called interference or obstruction of justice and interference with a public records request. So I'm absolutely going to go the distance on this. I imagine I'll be the topic of conversation over the next few weeks, months, years, who knows. But I'm about 4 years in with LaPorte County. And basically they tried to dump me on you guys, Pulaski County. And as opposed to dismiss these frivolous charges, the judge says that current court circumstances do not allow her to fulfill her oath as a judge. So I'm very curious what your court circumstances in Pulaski County are now. So basically, I'm going to be your problem, every one of your problems for like the next year, asking really stupid questions that I'm legally allowed to. And you guys are basically more likely to commit suicide than get me arrested for even a misdemeanor. And you can thank Judge Welker for that. Because Judge Welker has an oath that she decided she was going to make up some bullshit terminology to try to avoid, called current court circumstances. And, well, basically, ma'am, I don't know if you're getting the picture yet, but I am now going to be your current court circumstances. And you can thank Judge Welker.
Okay.
I'm very familiar with the process. I try to give you guys the benefit of the doubt when I call and ask you reasonable,
Okay.
very simple questions, but you guys don't seem to know the answers to these. And over the course of the past like 2 days, I've lost a lot of respect for basically every county official I've spoke with, except for Commander Tabler, because in this rare instance, a police officer was the most honest person I've spoken with yet, which is baffling. You guys have really lowered the bar. Anyway, I know I can
Can I
record.
ask you a question?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So you've talked to other county officials.
Yep. I've spoken to every public agency that would have any sort of tidbit of information
So,
on
I mean,
this. I've basically
I mean-
worked it to where all of you are saying things that are contradicting the other. So long story short, 2 out of the 3 of you have to be liars for certain. Yeah, I definitely. By the way,
Can I,
my name is.
can I ask you any more questions?
Sure, you can ask as many questions as you want. I love answering your guys' questions. You guys rarely ask them.
So in your process of whatever it is that you're doing, are you going to other counties or have you targeted Placerville County only?
Oh, I haven't targeted anybody. That's a very interesting use of the language. I don't answer bait questions, though, ma'am. If you have a legitimate question where you're not trying to.
Was that a big question?
Yeah. You see, the word targeting is very aggressive sounding. You know, I write legal briefs, so I read a lot of stuff on it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So when you use the word targeting, you make it seem like what I'm doing is like, aggressive, maybe even unlawful.
Is that what I did? I just wanted to know if you are doing this process to other counties. Are you going through this same process with other counties, or is it just Placerville County?
What process would you be talking about? Am I curious about
I
the functionality of the court systems in numerous counties?
In other counties?
Yeah, pretty much all throughout Indiana. I'm very curious about how the good old boy system overlaps into the justice system and things don't get done properly even though it's the law. And most of Indiana is a Republican state that shouts for law and order, but at the same time, they use their good old boy connections to sort of have judges and prosecutors and politicians ignore actual law and order. It's very fascinating. I grew up in Indiana, and I mean, the way we say things are and how they really are 2 completely different things, and it's become quite fascinating to me just how much of a plague this is throughout the state of Indiana. And that would be a lack of respect for the citizen on part of public agencies. I'm a bother to you, it would seem. But I'm your employer. It's very. So, have I targeted anyone? No. Do I, are you special in regards to being the only county that I've interacted with? Absolutely not. I live in LaPorte County. Most accidents happen close to home, so I've investigated and looked into quite a bit, in my own community, as well as in my hometown, and various surrounding counties. It's almost like every day I see that a police officer or a public official has committed some sort of a crime, and it's really only like a matter of time before one of them is local. And if you get enough, you can almost see a local one every single day. I could probably literally, your words, not mine, do this process, whatever that means, essentially act as a checks and balances to sort of question, see where your game is at, see if you guys have got an A game or an F game. But yeah, I could probably do this indefinitely throughout the state of Indiana. I'm literally notified via social media of a new tidbit of corruption throughout the 92 counties, literally like 3 or 4 times a day. It's amazing.
I see.
I find it strange that you work within the system. You obviously have to see that some things are off, but you don't understand why there's a reaction to that action, which is essentially what it is the citizen calling and asking, a couple of simple yes or no questions.
So can we expect you in the courthouse anytime soon?
Oh, physically? Yeah, one doesn't necessarily need to come there, but I mean, several different public agencies have invited me. There's an express invitation. I tried to email my simple matters. I just wanted to check in on some documents, some public records, but I can't get an email address for anyone. So I've been invited numerous times to come to the building. So yeah, I'll probably be there.
So here in Pulaski County, you never got an email address. I do believe if you get on PulaskiOnline.org, it would have all the email addresses and probably
No,
some
no, no, no,
phone
no, no.
numbers.
I'm not saying that I don't have anybody's email address. I'm quite diligent, I guess one would say. I typically don't ask questions that I don't know the answers to already. Anyway, I asked for an email address, and this could not be provided, via a phone call to simply handle this matter in 5 minutes. This has literally turned into like a 3-day process, simply trying to get simple documents. But yes, I absolutely I have numerous emails. From what it sounds like, you're a pretty small town. I imagine I could email all of them and crash your system. With not even with hacking, just
So
emailing all of
was
you the
that the
same
threat?
question. It seems that you
Was
guys are
that a
pretty low
threat?
grade. No, no, no. It's simply an observation that you guys use low grade technology because you're a small Midwest town, and that basically, if like 20 people emailed you at the same time, your system would probably crash. If one person emailed you 20 times at the same time, your email would probably crash.
All right. See. All right. Well, I hope you find what
Similar
you
to
want.
using the same phone number for 45 different
Obviously,
people in
I'm
the
not
county.
the one to talk to get the answers that you want or need or think that I
Nope.
can give. So I appreciate your call, and I don't know what else to tell you, sir, but I really am very, very busy today, and whatever you're after, I'm sure you'll be able to get it. So thank you very much for calling,
Thank you very
and
much for your questions. As I said,
we look
typically you
forward to
guys are not
seeing
very
you.
curious when I call public agencies, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And again, in no way, shape, or form am I saying any threats or I'm going to do anything unlawful. I have
Goodbye.
quite a bit of respect for the law, in case you didn't notice. Goodbye.